Enter stage wearing a red backless gown with black shawl and huge diamond earrings. It's time for Must Have Seen TV, the podcast dedicated to the sitcoms of the 20th century from I Love Lucy to News Radio. I am your host, Barb Hardley, and right over here is the Louie to my Maurice, Ethan K. Hi, Ethan.
Hey, Barb. How's it going?
Well, just doing good.
You're doing pretty well. You're looking really cute in that two-piece ensemble.
Thank you. It's casual, Barb, today. I'm not wearing an evening gown to do a podcast. I'm just wearing, gotta show off
turn around.
the entire, right.
You have to watch this on YouTube, folks, because this is
watch it on YouTube. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. We just got back from a trip to Maryland. This was Megan's first time in Maryland, first time in Delaware. We went for a wedding.
What's in Delaware? Wayne's World.
No sales tax. I mean, it's a kind of an absence of a thing, isn't it? There's no sales tax. Delaware was like, we zipped through it in like 20 minutes. It's not long, but like Maryland was much more involved than I remember it being. But it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful wedding for our friends, Trisha and Peter. And it was neat because they, instead of having like just a dancing reception, like a lot of people do, like we did, they had a big trivia.
Oh,
table versus table trivia
interesting
game. So Megan and I stayed all the way to the end. And we lost. We came in or something like that. But yeah, it was kind of cool. It was pretty cool. How are you?
Nice. Well, I'm doing okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Good news, bad news, no news.
I don't even. No, I don't know what is happening. My brain has just completely gotten fried, so I don't know where we are in the world. I do know that I'm watching nothing but garbage. So what are you watching?
A lot of things are kind of like running their course. So Shrinking wrapped up its season. Abbott Elementary wrapped up its season. Poker Face wrapped up its season. I can say that I just started a couple weeks ago. Started watching Deadwood.
Oh,
on HBO, and weirdly enough, like I've gotten 2 episodes into it, and Megan says she doesn't want to start a new series, so I'm watching it kind of when she's like doing things like she's out of the house or anything like that, and I'm looking at it on HBO. On the HBO streaming service. Is it Go or Max? HBO Max.
Yeah.
I can't tell anymore. They're going to change it again. And like the color correction's all off. It doesn't seem that HD for being a show that came out in like 2005, 2006.
Yeah, that's a cusp.
Yeah,
but it could have been shot on film, and therefore it would have been weird.
I don't know, but it's enjoyable so far. I'm there's a lot of like house kind of stuff that I've been doing like over the last couple weeks, and being able to kind of like sit there and watch as I put comic books away and that kind of stuff. So it's been fun. It's been good. So I'm sorry you have to watch trash.
Yeah, comes with the job. It's a lot of trash. Hold on, I'm trying. But I did see John Wick 4, which was fine.
That was quite good. I enjoyed that. Have you kept up with the John Wick films?
I've seen all of them. The first one I watched was 3, and then I watched 1 and 2, and now I have 4. So I like their commitment to showing dogs being badasses.
We watched the first one, I want to say right like 2 years ago, and we kind of like put off watching the rest of them until Megan's mom was visiting a couple weeks back, and we marathon 2 and 3 literally like a week or two before 4 came out.
Yeah.
4 came out, and like we were there the opening weekend for it at the Alamo Draft House in Yonkers, which is a fantastic venue.
That's a boon for where you live.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a drive, but some of the best movie going experience you can have, and I'm probably selling it short because it's just a wonderful place. And I'm glad that there's one in Yonkers for all of us.
Yeah. As far as like listener mail, we're still anything y'all want to send our way, please do. We have one good one funny, but funny meaning bad, but still funny. I'll start with the bad one first. So if you're going to email us at musthavesceentv@gmail.com. I don't know where my personal email is out on the internet, but this also goes to PR and press people. I have a work email. Use that. I don't know how people are finding my personal email. It's fine. But I'm going to read this because it's great. I recently have listened to your podcast, Must Have Seen TV, and I think you all stink like human skunks. Stink is capitalized. You and you guys, etc., are a bunch of jerks and clowns, and I hate all of you. 21st century dopes. 2 exclamation marks. No, 1 exclamation mark, no space. And then I never listen to your dopey podcast ever again. Forget you. I drop your podcast. It's great. I drink your milkshake. I drop your podcast.
I appreciate the feedback.
21st century dopes.
21st century dopes.
I love that. And also stink like human skunks.
It's creative. I'll give him that. That was you sent that to me just the other day. I was kind of like I just woken up or something like that, and you sent it to me, and I'm like, this is great. Thank you so much for the feedback.
I don't.
We like talking about old sitcoms. We hope that you come along for the ride with us.
But if our smell makes it all the way through either the video or the audio, then please drop us. And
like a candle in here that make it smell like nice in here, just because I'm like to spend time in my office.
I mean, I do. So I am sweating because I am in drag, but I also am wearing I think it's called Charlie White perfume. It was a famous in the 70s perfume that I bought it. Because I was like, Barb should have a 70s perfume. But on Twitter, Chaotic Rambler let us know after the Dobie Gillis episode, Zelda Gilroy was so popular that they filmed a pilot for a spinoff, but CBS execs thought she was too butch. Which is sad, but I mean, they saw what we saw. I don't know. I mean, good for she's come on. She's gone on to be a legend.
Yeah, it's
in politics.
One industry's loss is another industry's gain, and she has advocated for a number of great causes in California politics for years.
Work Zelda Gilroy, who's the name of the character, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Too.
But this week we'll be traveling to February 28th, 1972. Cabaret rolled the box office. Without You by Nilsson topped the charts, and CBS aired the Doris Day episode Gowns by Louie. Ethan, you must have seen Gowns by Louie before today.
I will fully admit that I actually had not heard of the Doris Day Show before you flagged it for this episode.
But you've heard of Doris Day.
Heard of Doris Day.
Okay.
I think she's one of those like 20th century entertainers that even if you don't know what she's done, you probably heard the name.
Yeah. Rock Hudson and Doris Day, they're shorthand.
It's a name she's a very interesting cat.
Friends with Hayden Rourke, because Hayden was in Pillow Talk with her. And also Lucky Me. He did at least 2 movies with her.
She got an Academy Award nomination for Pillow Talk.
Just such a good movie.
But initially, a little bit of background. She started out as a dancer, was in a car accident, so she couldn't dance, and then kind of learned how to sing through a local singing coach when she was growing up. She had a fantastic career as a singer. Especially with Les Brown, who's Bob Hope's band leader. So she worked on the Bob Hope program. She released songs and albums and singles, and she did start getting into acting, a lot of romantic comedies, mostly romantic comedies. She did have her own radio program at one point in the 1950s, and she did a lot of she did movies that you've heard of by name if you haven't seen: Pajama Game, Teacher's Pet, Man Who Knew Too Much, The Rock, like you said, Rock Hudson, Pillow Talk. And when I read about this show, when I was looking up some of her background, she did not want to do a television show. She had to do a television show because her husband, Martin Melcher, father to Terry Melcher, the music producer. He has his own story involving Charles Manson. But Martin was her third husband. He made a lot of bad business decisions, pulled her into debt, pulled himself into hard debt.
No, Doris.
Their lawyer was involved. She was like, she's going through kind of like a career lull. But she's like, I'm just going to ride it out. At the time, she was in her mid 40s.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, she lied about her age for years, but she was actually born in 1922. So she was kind of in like enjoying the middle of her career. Things are kind of slowing down, and her husband signed her up for this TV show that she didn't want to do. She's like, I'm a film actress. I don't do television. I don't want to do this.
Because there was a big divide back then.
And then she died. And then he died.
No.
So she got roped into the show that she didn't really want to do, so she could pay off the debts that her husband and her lawyer had embroiled her in. This is the same story with Leonard Cohen. If you ever wondered why Leonard Cohen toured so much at the end of his life when he was like in his 80s, it was because he lost all of his money, unscrupulous business practices, and he's like, I need to make money.
That sucks.
When he should have been retired. But so she did 5 seasons of this show.
And I gotta tell you, the journey that this show takes is wild. I think what fascinates me is that the Doris Day Show is the exemplifies what television and what sitcoms were going through in the late 60s and early 70s, because it starts off as a rural sitcom where she like lives in a country house with her dad, I think, and her children. I've watched right, yeah, and I've watched most of season 1, and it is not. I mean, like it's exactly what that is. Just the kids getting into trouble, and she's the mom. And she is a writer, though, I do believe she's still like a writer. But then, like, season 2, I feel like she gets a job in the city, but is commuting to it. And so it's like half and half.
It's kind of like the evolutionary record where you can see the small changes that fish goes into like mammal.
Yeah, because Mary Tyler Moore Show happens in 1970. And then they're just like, oh, we got to do this. And now all of a sudden does she take her? I think she takes her kids to San Francisco for 1 season, and then they just disappear.
They disappear by season 4.
Yeah.
So seasons 1 through 3, she's a widowed mother. She dates back and forth. Mm-hmm. She moves to the farm, and then season 4, all of the cast that were in the first 3 seasons, with like 1 or 2 exceptions of the landlords that they have. Bernie Kopell.
Yeah, Bernie Kopell. Also, the cast of those early seasons, like Rosemarie is a series regular for like seasons 2 and 3, I think, like in the middle.
Ryan was the housekeeper for the first couple episodes before she went over to Green Acres.
McLean Stevenson?
Yep.
Yeah, was like her boss, I think. Like, it's crazy. Like, all these people go on or did great stuff. And for a while, they all had made a pit stop at one of the iterations of the Doris Day Show.
So by season 4, she is single, no kids, living in San Francisco, assistant editor of her magazine, virtually no mentions of her previous life in the first 3 seasons. Her dog is gone. Lord Nelson.
Not the dog. God.
Yeah, The dog's gone.
God.
And they introduce other characters like Cyril Bennett, who is her boss, and Billy DeWolf is Mr. Jervis, who is her.
Yeah, he crosses over.
He was in this episode for a hot second.
I didn't even see him.
I'll point him out when we get to it.
Jesus. And we'll talk about him when we get to. But I mean, hey, ready to jump into this wild ride, talk about it for 5 minutes and to be over? I
gotta say,
there's a lot. I got a lot of thoughts.
This was a good episode. Of TV. And I think a lot of the strength on that comes with Doris Day being very comfortable with her co-stars, very comfortable on camera. She is quick to the jokes they don't feel hacky. Here's the setup and here's the delivery. She delivers it fairly naturally and kind of.
She's a natural.
It works well. So I thought it was.
This week on Must Have Seen TV, we'll be talking about the Doris Day Show episode Gowns by Louie. This is the 23rd episode of season 4, and it was written by Arthur Julian and directed by William Ward. Here's how Tubi describes the episode. Doris convinces an elite Frenchman to display amateur work at a fashion show. Ethan, how accurate is that description?
1,000%. Absolutely great.
Yeah, I was like, when I saw that there was an episode all about 70s fashion, I was like, well, I wanted to watch it for selfish reasons because I'm like, Barb needs inspiration. And I weirdly didn't get as much inspiration as I was hoping, but there were some looks that I do want.
There was a 4-minute segment where it's just her, just a fashion show.
Just 4 minutes?
And then there was there's a break and some action, and then another 4-minute section where it is just no dialogue. Fashion show.
Looks. So the episode opens with Doris's boss is on the couch. It is Sunday. Doris runs in because she's been interrupted from painting furniture at her home, not in the country.
She's painting furniture in her house by herself, where her kids will not help. She has no one to help. It is only her.
They don't exist.
Covered in paint, including a weird little
Hitler mustache. It's green paint. And also, the paint is still very wet, as we find out in a second. And I'm just like, how fast did you get there that your hand is still covered in wet paint? It's crazy. But he is worried. The boss is worried because Monsieur Moreau is coming in, and he is a top fashion designer, and they're doing a fashion show. And it isn't just like a rinky-dink fashion show. It's a big deal fashion show is happening.
It is definitely something that he's hanging his hat on, because as he says, if we do this badly, advertisers will pull out, and we'll all be ruined if this fashion show goes. It's artificially inflating the stakes of a fashion. Yeah. Let's be clear here. It is not
also for a newspaper or a magazine that seems to have a staff of one, because it's the boss, his secretary, and then Doris Day. She's
the associate editor.
So
she's pretty high up there.
So I do want to point out that throughout the entire series, from what I recall, Doris Day always gets the filter. Every time the camera is on her, she is blurry. It's that like warm Barbara Walters filter that you do to get rid of wrinkles and like soften an appearance. But she's the only person that gets it. And it's so noticeable to me every time the camera cuts to her. It's just a completely different cinematographical experience.
She was 49 when this was recorded. So she was probably very, and this is going to make me sound like such a pig.
Well,
she was very concerned about her appearance. I think this was probably something where she really wanted to come out of the gate strong in an episode about fashion. So yeah, use that filter.
Well, I mean, because I've watched a lot of Doris Day Show, and I might not be there in season 1, but as soon as she moves to San Francisco, that filter follows her, or it comes out. I also wonder, though, she's gone from being a mom to like a single lady in the city. I wonder if, in addition to retconning the kids out, did they retcon 15 years out? Is what, like, is she now supposed to be playing much younger?
Question. Kids were killed by the Zodiac killer?
Oh, wow. Wait, what year was the Zodiac popping off? Was that late 70s?
70s.
This is 72. Proto Zodi. So then comes in Monsieur, what is Jacques Moreau. Played by fucking Werner Klemperer from Hogan's Heroes. So, hot. He was very handsome, which I was like,
You weren't expecting that.
Werner Klemperer to be, it's like, cause he has like the beard, he has, I guess, a wig on, but it's like it's like a very, he looks like a balding man. I don't think that Werner Klemperer had hair.
Well, no, you watch Hogan's Heroes and he's bald. And so in Hogan's Heroes and Judgment at Nuremberg, which he was in, he plays German. Here, he's playing French.
Oh, French. He's wearing a turtleneck. He's French. And I was just like, this is a hot man. And I did not expect that.
he gets the wet paint handshake from Doris Martin. I apologize. Not Doris Day. Her name is Doris.
No, of course not. But now, this is where, like, he's like, oh, it's going to be a great fashion show. So many top designers. And she's like, wait a second. All of these designers are European. Where are the American designers? To which his response is like, great designers are always in Europe, for that is where the chic women are.
Megan and I were talking about this because she sat down and watched a little of the episode with me, and she's like, who are they sending up with this? Like, who is the French designer? And like 1950s to 1970s French design was, big names, and I'm going to butcher them, but you have Yves Saint Laurent, Christian Dior, Coco Chanel, Pierre Cardin, a whole bunch of names. I did look them up. It was true. Fashion, there was a lot of fashion coming from France in the 1950s.
Yeah, because Ralph Lauren doesn't happen until like the mid to late 70s. I think is when he starts popping off. As a menswear person, I should know this stuff more. But also, like, what I love, like, what we think of as fashion shows now only happened because of, like the showdown in Versailles in like the late 70s. I think it's a Halston thing. Basically, like, there was like a designers from, this is me like trying to remember this story. It's like designers from different countries all basically like competed with fashion shows, see which country had the best fashion. I think Halston represented America, and I think they're the ones that pioneered like playing music, like playing like popular, sexy music while the models walked, and also like having them walk with a purpose. Because if you watch any fashion moments, and it's kind of in this too, fashion shows used to just be like the woman's like wearing a gown, and then she like comes out, walks slowly, dabbles, like there's no urgency to it. It's not cool. It's just very, I think initially it was like you're parading yourself in front of buyers and stuff, so they know like, I want XYZ. So I think that it used to serve more of a very utilitarian function, whereas nowadays it is a show.
Like Diamond Previews, it used to be just for retailers to buy, comic books.
Oh, right.
Fans got into it. We're looking up books, and they have to sell them with fancy gags and stuff in the previews. Anyway.
Jeez. So that's why, like, she is mad. Why does he why does he because I always write down notes and then I can't remember why I wrote things down, but I wrote this down because he basically starts dragging Doris Martin's jumper, like, or her painting clothes outfit. She's like, I just came from painting clothes, what do you expect me to wear? And he's like, ooh, an eggshell jumper, a navy blouse with bouffant sleeves. to paint.
That's what European women apparently paint in.
Yeah.
And so I can't say one way or another because I don't know what European women were painting in the early 1970s.
No, I do not know. So Doris is super offended. She does not want to cover this thing because she's like, if there ain't no Americans there, we shouldn't cover it.
And her boss, Cyril Bennett, played by John Daner, I have no notes on him. He was one of those like guys that did a ton of TV. His response, I actually liked it because I wrote it down, was I'm not running this magazine as a benevolent dictator. The word is tyrant.
Yeah.
You are doing this fashion show. You're covering it, and the repartee between them is quite good.
Yeah.
There's not a lot I can say about it other than it's just good. It's well acted.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about it a lot.
And then we get the Que Sera Sera, the theme song, whatever will be, which, so these opening credits are themselves a fashion show. I don't know. First of all, she is so tan. Like,
yeah,
she's like unreal levels of tan.
Her hair looks like fiber optic cables. It is
yes. And then there's it's her like in San Francisco, and she's, being Mary Tyler Moore in San Francisco. And then at the very end of the last portion of the opening credits is like a fashion show montage, which includes the weirdest hairstyle I have ever seen. Star Wars alien. She
a scorpion tail.
She has like but it goes, I think it's going backwards, right? So it looks normal from the front, but then when she turns, it looks like she's one of those dinosaurs with like the crest.
Paracephalosaurus?
Yeah, because it's very like Cindy Lou. Also, her default hairstyle, and she wears this a couple times in the episode, is like kind of like a beehive, like a little top, mound of hair, but then the little curly cues on the side.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it just looks weird. It looks very Cindy Lou Who. It doesn't. It's a very strange hair.
Who is a good analog to this.
Yeah,
it is a wig parade. It is a celebration. God. It is
the bigotry,
fashion, and just it. The only thing that stays constant is her face. Her hair changes. Her dresses changes. It's a paper doll.
She's a paper doll. Yeah. So the episode starts as she's going into Louie's dry cleaning and alteration shop.
Louis Salkowitz, played by Joseph Mell, who, again, one of those TV guys, did one or two episodes of shows here and there, never played the same character. His big credit on IMDb was I Was a Teenage Werewolf.
Ooh, that's fun.
On Mystery Science Theater.
But so, like, her gown shop is all like he is making gowns. Like, I mean, it's a dry cleaning place. Yeah. It's where she goes to get alterations, but she goes there and she's like there to like, isn't she there to pick up it's not weird. She says it looks like a coat. It looks like a trench coat, but it's a dress. It's like a coat dress.
Yeah. It's thick fabric.
Yeah. But Louis is designing gowns and he's like, I designed a gown for a funeral, one that says I'm grief stricken, but I'd like a little action.
He's got this little side business he's got a full staff. He's got 3 other guys.
Oh, they love it.
It is pointed out that Louis is Russian, not French, but he is Russian, and his compatriots at the dry cleaning business are all Italian.
Yeah. He doesn't want any publicity. He doesn't want any.
It's important that they mention where they're from because he is obviously not French.
Yes.
And despite, Italy being the fashion capital it is now, it wasn't France in the 1970s. Yeah. That's the effect that I got, that these Russian Italian men have no business in the fashion world, according to the mindset of Werner Klemperer.
Yes. Maurice Lamarche.
And he's happy as he is.
Jacques Moreau. So then, like, back at the office. Oh no, this is where they show up next. It's at the office, and so I wrote down like her boss is now wearing an outfit that I could recreate right now, except for the hat. He's basically dressed up like a gay on safari. He's wearing like an ascot and a safari jacket. Doris Day is wearing this wild white hat that has like some tulle around it. There's a lot of looks going on.
But the look of the room, the entire offices are wood paneled, and not in like thin basement wood paneling that you get in like the 70s or 80s. This was thick, shellacked.
Yeah.
Across every surface of this office was this thick, light golden. You can tell that this thing could take a bullet. The room is going yellow. He's wearing this cream colored safari suit
because it's like with a riding crop.
Yeah, you don't see it much in the first scenes, but as in the later scenes, because he doesn't take it off for the next couple days.
Oh yeah. But like when Maurice compliments Doris's outfit, and he's like, "Oh, I like that dress," and she's like, "Oh, my like Louis." Basically, she says, "My designer Louis made it," and he was Louis. Oh, he's French because I guess he's thinking Louis, but pronounced Louis.
Louis is acceptable to Jacques.
Yes. And now this gives Doris an idea.
Yes.
Yep. She goes. Wait.
They get to where they move to where they're prepping. They're prepping the fashion show.
Where does he go back? She goes back and like tells him her plan, right?
Well, because
or is that after?
What has to happen first is one of the designers has to drop out.
Oh, right, yeah.
So they're on location where in the next day they're going to be hosting this fashion show, and they're just kind of looking at everything and saying, "Oh, this is so interesting." And an assistant runs over to Jacques Moreau and says, "Oh no, somebody cannot make it because they can't get their line together in time. Oh, he'll be stricken from the program immediately." Which honestly, like if you're printing those programs, that's nuts because you got to print.
Yeah, that's expensive.
It is. A day before, come on. It's
she's like,
take a Sharpie and just cross out their name.
Yeah, the part of this designer will be designed by.
Yes.
But then she is like,
real quick, because I want to say that he has to throw in a dig at the French. He says the French are slow. They take 3 hours for lunch. They're spending all their time shaking hands and hugging. Honestly, think about how much time they could save if they kiss only once on the cheek instead of so many a times.
Yeah.
It is the French's problem that they are slow.
And then when she goes back to the dry cleaning place, she's like runs this idea by all of them, and they're like, "No, I love the Italian is like the reason that he cannot do this is, but this afternoon we're all going to play bocce."
Yeah, I can't do this because A, I don't want to, and B, all my guys are playing bocce.
Hey, typical fashion stuff, But then she like really starts hammering home like there are no American designers, and it basically I wrote down she's trying to get into World War III, but then she says you guys are like my Olympic sewing team. And I was like, okay, I guess that's a little bit more accurate than World War III.
Louis is really good in this. Louis Joseph Mel is really a fun character. He's a character that enjoys all the stuff that he does.
Yeah,
enjoys being with his boys. And he just does it for himself and his friends. And good representation for a heterosexual in fashion. We assume. He does not seem like. No. Does not say he's with anyone. But
so then Doris goes back to her boss, who is wearing the safari jacket still.
No.
And then she starts like weirdly, basically insinuating like that he's wearing a woman's jacket. Like it's like she makes like two jokes that are just like very like, oh, that jacket's for women, or like.
And she's why can't you get your own designer to make you a jacket for the fashion show? Because he asks if he can get one from Louis, and she's like, no. And she goes, why can't you get one of your designers? Because fashion editors have their own designers, or magazine editors. And he says, well, I can't because the postage rates from Hong Kong just went up.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I was just like, back off, Doris. I don't understand how that's a feminine jacket. It's a safari jacket. I don't know. Whatever.
She leaves, and he wants to find out Louie's address so he can send someone around to pick up the gowns. For some reason, this magazine is very, very enmeshed with this fashion show. Like, they're providing logistics.
For a magazine that is not about fashion.
I know. It's kind of like this fashion show will make or break our San Francisco magazine.
Yeah.
Which is so weird.
So when they're like, when he asked the secretary, like, where did Doris go? Like, what is the address for her designer? And she's like, oh, I know where that is. It's at this corner and this corner. Louis Dry Cleaning and Alterations.
What?
And he is so like, what? Dry cleaning and all? Like, oh yeah, he's so, he's gonna get embarrassed.
In his full safari getup, he heads down to Louie's Dry Cleaning and Alterations, where Doris is talking with Louie.
Yeah.
She has convinced him to put the gowns together.
I will say, like, when the scene starts, he is holding, and I'm going to point out every gown that I want, this amazing pink gown with like a tulle bottom, and then it's like a rhinestone covered top with like a tulle bow in the front. And I was like, that's great. Why don't we see that in the runway?
That's just gravy, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because like everything you saw in the fashion show is in the fashion show, and there's there's stuff.
There's still more looks everywhere
Under that iceberg, there is so many looks that Louis never broke out. So Cyril shows up, Doris hides. And this is where we get.
Isn't this where he's like, he's not even French. He doesn't even eat French dressing. Like, they're really hammering on the fact that this Louis guy ain't French.
And in this scene, when there's a customer that walks in to pick up some dry cleaning, and that's Billy DeWolf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Billy DeWolf was a regular in this series. He ends up being Doris's landlord in season 5. What do you were excited about to talk about Billy DeWolf?
Oh yeah, because he's a classic TV gay. I still want to know more about him. And he kind of, was running in the same circles as Charles Nelson Riley and Paul Lynde. But I think everyone knows him as being the Professor Hinckley from Rankin Bass Frosty the Snowman animated holiday special. That is messy, messy, messy. Yeah, that guy. And I love him.
That's his big thing. Professor Hinckley. I'm looking at his career. He was in Free to Be You and Me.
He died in like the 70s, I think.
Yeah. But I'm looking at everything. It wasn't a big career. He had a lot of those early like 1940s churn through them like 1 hour and a half long movies that remembers and aren't available on DVD.
I need to do some more investigating on him because it's a gay icon in the waiting, and I love those.
Yeah, but he was in the Doris Day Show for 12 episodes, but I think what he's very linked to that. Yeah,
and he's really good in there's a Christmas episode where he's essentially a Scrooge and like they have to like warm his heart, and it's really good, and I like that one. So suddenly Louis and the boys are all into this. They're like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, like we'll give up bocce.
Or the sewing team, or the Olympic sewing team for this. And he's on board, and
I love when they show up to the fashion show the next day. Louis' outfit is it is a purple turtleneck, red pants, a beret, and like a trench coat. Yeah. But they tell everyone, oh, he just lost his voice. He's sick. So that they know Louis cannot pass off a French accent. So they're like, we'll just circumvent that completely.
And she does say, talk with your hands and move your arms around a lot.
Yeah. Well, and then at some point he also like kisses Cyril, is that his name? The boss, on the cheek twice.
Because he sees Jacques Moreau do it. Because when Jacques Moreau comes in, he's like, "Oh, Louis!" And a lot of French, and Louis just nods and everything. But Gemaro gives him the kisses. So when Cyril, the boss, walks in, he reaches out and grabs him and he kisses him as well. It's very elusive. It's very lovely.
And then at the end of the act, the boss is like, "Did you have to kiss me?" And then Louis says, "The beret makes me do crazy things." But bum. And now, everybody,
can I talk real quick about the laugh track?
Yeah.
There's a laugh track on this. It is not filmed live. And I noticed it a lot of times because there were lines that I laughed at that didn't get the canned laughter. And there were some mild lines that I was just like, oh, they're making that kind of the centerpiece of the scene. It was a big laugh line, but it wasn't as good as some of the quick little gags that could have gotten much more laughs. They could have doubled the amount of canned laughter on this, and it would have made sense. It is a funny episode.
I guess, humor changes.
Humor changes.
They were writing for a future audience and the current audience.
Yeah. But I interrupted your intro. I apologize.
Oh, now it's time for fashion show, baby. So what is wild to me is that the episode is titled Gowns by Louie, which is, I don't know, like a reference or a throwback to back in the, 30s and 40s and whatnot. Like movies would have gowns by credits. So that's kind of throwing back to that. But who actually made all these clothes? I don't fucking know. So Connie Edney was the women's costumer. So in theory, she might have gone shopping at, they do say wardrobe furnished by Joseph Magnin, which was a high-end specialty department store founded in San Francisco that went bankrupt in 1984. So I'm assuming that Connie Edney went to the department store Joseph Magnin and bought these looks.
Yeah.
And so that's the credit where credit is. I hope that's due. So the first one, I'm really glad it starts off with the secretary like reading the description, which you should do, but I was like, thank God that we didn't get that for every look, because
also, this is once again how much this magazine has infiltrated this fashion show.
Yeah.
They have the boss's secretary as also the announcer.
It's like, what chaos is going on backstage where it's like, oh my God, like our announcer's gone. Like what? This Virus X is taking out everybody.
Killed by the Zodiac Killer.
Oh God. Getting his practice in. So the first look is a red backless gown with a black shawl and huge diamond earrings, and a weird updo that has like a weird, like jeweled thing stuck in it. It's an okay look. Ethan, what is your take on the look?
It was an interesting one to start with, because the shawl itself seemed a little or more around the house, but the gown would go out kind of thing.
There's a couple of these where it's like a gown with a shawl thrown on it. That's like, that's ruining the look. And I'm wondering if that was like the their take on in fashion. It's like, oh, it's avant-garde. Like if that was them, like this season we put blankets on everything. So the next look was a like My Fair Lady like costume. Old woman chic, high collar, parasol, black and white.
Yeah, it was Audrey Hepburn and My Fair Lady.
Yeah. There was also just like so much clapping, like the audience as edited and shown on screen was just like living for every single look, which by the way is modeled by Doris Day, which I feel like this is the most impractical fashion show ever, because between every single look is 20 minutes while she gets her hair redone. And
hair redone. Multiple outfits. She is the makeup stayed the same, so that was standard. She is also being shot again through the filter. She's very tan. Her hair is as light as yours, Barb's.
Oh yes,
it is. I don't know. It's kind of got this like Californian beach girl vibes.
Which makes sense for her. The third look is a fur leopard coat with a yellow turtleneck. And they do note in the end credits, the fur coat is synthetic.
Oh, that's good.
Which I am actually shocked that we cared about that in the 70s. I thought it would be like, remember, Tiger was murdered at.
Doris Day was a big proponent of animal rights.
Right.
Especially near the end of her life. So I think this was probably something that she had some say in. It looks like Dalmatian. She looks like Cruella de Vil.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's either snow leopard or it is Dalmatian.
Mm-hmm.
That's the theoretical synthetic animal that this came from. It is.
So next is I wrote down it's an okay black dress, but it has like a rhinestone. It looks like a rhinestone collar, but it's actually a necklace. And another like Afghan like blanket crochet shawl over it. Which sure, I guess.
Do it any favors.
Look number 5 is this pink. It's a pink gown with an umpire waist with a lace top and also red shoes and is it also a red coat? Red shoes and coat, I wrote down. I should have taken screen grabs of these. God. But like, so at this point, I want to do my Heidi Klum, Zach Posen, Nina Garcia, and just be like, what is the story? What is the through line? Where's the cohesion? Like,
just one thing it says is that Louie can design anything. He has no style that is his. He has no themes that run through any of this. It is what we found at the department store.
Yeah, I wonder if this was like Joseph Magnan's like, we're going to give you a bunch of gowns, please.
Yeah.
Show them off. I don't know. It's very...
These will fit Doris Day.
Yeah. So the 6th look is a black... We're not even halfway, I think. It's a black gown with a white winter coat, and I wrote, it is what it is. I'm funny. But then the next one starts off, it is a bucket hat with it's a butterfly bucket hat and like a weird coat dress. It's paisley print, but it has like a black and red trim around all of it, which that's a Barb look because it's stupid.
Now let's set the stage real quick. Is that we've been watching a very engaging episode of Doris Day for about 15 minutes, about 16 minutes so far. And suddenly the lights go down. This music that sounds like 70s Bollywood.
Yeah.
We've got the horn and an electric guitar just doing solos, not like wailing guitar solos like Bachman Turner Overdrive or anything, but like
yeah.
And we literally 4 minutes straight of no dialogue, no one singing, no one announcing the dresses. It is just Doris Day.
And now there's still 2 more looks before, I think at least 2 before we get to the interstitial. The next one
I'm just like, how long is it going to go?
It's a green and white like gingham pattern dress that was really fucking up the camera. Like it was tessellating, or it was like making the camera just like didn't know what. But she's also wearing like a red belt, red boots, a red hat and purse. Like it just lots of really wild color choices here. So now she's wearing another purple hat, a lavender shirt, a purple jacket, and then these like dusty gray purple fringe gloves. Like there was fringe hanging off of the gloves. I love that. And that is the 9th look. And now that is where we go backstage after 9 looks. And
4+ minutes. It's like listening to a drum solo.
Oh, but I loved see, this is where the gay and the straight, because I'm like, yeah, give me, I love it. This is what I'm here for. Give me more looks. I'm surprised she didn't bust out the scorpion hair.
I was trying to find like an angle to it. I was trying to find something cohesive that I could say about it. And the only thing I can come up with was there is no one talking in this sitcom and it is just music playing. And for how long can this go on?
So now we're back and there's a phone call. They ask for Louis Salkowitz. And this is where I guess they find out, he ain't French.
And of course,
Right.
Cyril has been talking French to Jacques Moreau the entire time, trying to he's not trying to pass his French. The editor is just trying to get on board the bandwagon by talking French.
Yeah.
And he starts doing it, and then Jacques like, stop it with your terrible French. So they go into they kind of hammer into Louis a little bit.
And now Doris is back there, and she's wearing a different outfit that isn't an outfit that we see on the stage. Like, she's changed clothes again. She's back there. I wrote down Doris is a mother. Where are her kids? Because she's just spending all of her time. It's like they're back at the house.
No, there are no kids. They wanted her to be a single, like, San Francisco person in the early 1970s, and no kids.
No time for kids, because we got another 4 minutes of looks. When look number 10, it's a navy cowboy like pilgrim hat with a turtleneck with poofy bell sleeves, and then like a patchwork like maxi skirt. That's look number 10, and then 11 we got a yellow boa, baby, and it's got like a yellow lace and rhinestone top again with the umpire waist. That's the only thing that is kind of a unification, is there's a lot of like high under the boob waist action. I would wear that look. And then there's the next one. Look number 12 is like a big fedora, and then a huge collar, and then it's just a black dress, but it's very pilgrimy again. I think this is the dress that later she wants to buy. And then they don't show this one nearly long enough. The huge flower.
Oh yeah, that's the one I was going to ask if you had a comment on her wearing this. It looks like gardening clothes, but like styled gardening clothes.
I mean, there's a flower on the front, like I think right under her breasts, like it's as big as her head. Like it's just this huge flower. Good.
I thought she was carrying like a basket of flowers for this.
But they only show it for a hot second because we got to get to this yellow dress with a white stripe and a hat. The stripe is kind of like it like demarcates. It's like a T shape. That is look number. So that's 13. That's look number 14. Number 15 is this one was great. It's another big hat. Lots of hats. Hats are very in. And then it's like a white maxi dress, but then there's a belt that is fruit. And is she holding a basket? Yeah, she's like carrying a basket.
Oh, she's carrying a basket of flowers. How many looks in total were there? I want to do some math.
That's 15. Okay, that was the last one. There are 15 looks. Oh, there was a 16th. So after they show all 15 looks, they then do a montage of like the greatest hits of the last 8 minutes. I was like, here's yellow hat again. Here's big flower. But in that there is a multicolored like flowy kind of gown that I was like, oh, I loved it. I would wear that. But it wasn't in the show proper. So it was like a lost look. 16.
I just did the math on this. And if they're allowing 20 minutes per outfit change, these people would have been sitting through 5.5 hours of a single designer, a single model fashion show,
and just loving every minute of it. Rapturous applause.
When she's done, they stand up and applaud.
Maybe we were only seeing the one look that Doris Day was modeling at that night's fashion event, and so what we saw was a 16-night fashion event. So it's normal length fashion shows, but you got to come to all 16 nights in order to see every look.
Now that makes more sense, because a 16-night fashion show could make or break a magazine. You would be more invested in that.
It'd be a big deal.
One night. And Louis was not the only designer.
No, because there were so many French.
Yeah, and if one designer dropped out, you'd probably cancel the entire show.
Yeah.
But there were obviously other designers. So this is the fashion show death march. This just goes on for
just everyone at the end just emaciated, like, make it stop. So then it's over.
So they probably got drink service.
Yeah, it's a success because Jacques and Louie are now going into business, and it's a story, baby. Taylor from the wrong side of the tracks turns fashion world upside down.
That's very classicist, but whatever.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't say him wrong side of the tracks.
He just had an alternate.
He's a business owner.
Yeah.
In San Francisco.
He's doing well enough he can employ 3 people.
Just to make his dresses on the side.
You find me a dry cleaner that has a staff of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I don't think so.
Never. I'm sure they exist. I have not seen one.
So now she's like, oh, she wants the pilgrim dress. And she's like, oh, I see it's $125. Which, did you look up the inflation?
I'm going to have to.
Because I did.
Oh, what was it?
$125 in 1972. She was like, oh, I want this dress. It's only $900.
Wow.
And like the fact that she says it so offhand, like, it's only $900. I'll take that. And then Jacques is like, no. It is now $450, which is him saying, no, it is now $3,200, $3,277.92. Which honestly, I mean, these are fashion prices. I do. That makes sense.
I was thinking more like $3,200. Okay. Like
it's the $900 for the dress that he made in the dry cleaning place that I'm like, his initial price. Like, no, I feel like $125 is probably what if you found a dry cleaning owner man who also just like designing gowns on the side, baby. I feel like this theoretical man would probably charge $125 today.
Yeah.
For like a gown that he whipped up.
And she's already said that she has an entire closet of designs by Louie.
Yeah,
so
but that's
spending $900. Well, yeah, her former husband was Martin Melcher, who made a lot of bad financial decisions. And then
she's
her
like,
son,
I need these kids out. They're eating me out of house and dress. I need closet space. Get them out.
Call the Zodiac Killer.
So then Doris's response is, well, we created the French Frankenstein.
And Louie, they all laugh, and Louie winks at her, which makes me think that he's gonna keep making dresses for her on the side. Maybe not this particular one, but yeah.
Are you ready for some must-have facts?
I'm glad you looked them up.
Oh my God. So this was number 23 for the season, which was tied with the Carol Burnett show, which is, while I think Carol Burnett is its star rise is on the rise.
Yeah.
So the top 5 shows of this week were, number 5 was The FBI. Number 4 was Sanford and Son. 3 was Mary Tyler Moore. 2 was The Flip Wilson Show, a drag artist. Republicans, God, Jesus Christ. Number 1 was All in the Family. So you can see why they were like pushing Doris towards, you got to be a single lady in the city with a job, preferably in journalism.
You're competing against Mary Tyler Moore. Now, here's a question for you, and I don't know if it's even available. Have you done Sanford and Son?
Yes. No, I haven't done it, but it is available.
Okay.
I think it is. I think it's recently came up.
We're gonna have to wait another, 6 shows to do it because it's in the 70s. But I do love Sanford and Son.
I've never seen it. If it wasn't on Nick at Night, I didn't get to to it because it didn't.
Beautiful.
I think it was a TV Land show. The CBS Monday lineup, which is also wild because Doris Day and Mary Tyler Moore both aired on CBS. So they were like, "Can you be more like this other show that we have?"
Well, that's a thing that still happens. You do see shows, copycat shows coming out.
Well, that's like when Friends was a hit, and the next season is like, here's the single guy, Caroline in the City. Here, yeah, loved it.
American Coupling.
Yeah. Oh God, I remember that. The CBS Monday lineup was Gunsmoke, followed by Here's Lucy, The Doris Day Show, and then Sonny and Cher. And so, that's a night of television.
It's a night of television. Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke was mentioned last episode that we were doing.
Yeah, she's never going to end. I mean, that's kind of a good spot for Doris Day between Here's Lucy and Sonny and Cher. That's a nice little
slice of 70s. Because he had, Lucy was the 1950s television. Doris Day was 60s movies.
60s movies, and then Sonny and Cher, baby, we're 70s.
Music.
Yeah. So what are you watching? I wish I had better descriptions for these, but the newspaper I looked up didn't have. So on ABC, a movie called Blue Max 2, which is a World War I drama from, I think, 1968, is on. On CBS, it's Doris Day, Werner Klemperer guest, really banking on that guest star. And then on NBC, was the Cockeyed Cowboys of Calico County. The description is town in danger of losing its only blacksmith. And that's a movie.
I have to look it up. Calico County. It is a movie starring Dan Blocker. Dan Blocker, Jim Backus, Nanette Ray, Wally Cox, Jack Stubby K, Mickey Rooney, Noah Beery Jr. So it's a good cast of Iron Eyes Cody.
Oh yeah,
Italian man who pretended to be a Native American.
The Doris Day aired opposite both ABC and NBC. Were like, Mondays are movie nights. We're not trifling with programming. So I mean, I would probably be watching Doris Day just because it is an original television program.
I'd probably be watching the Cockeyed Cowboys of Calico County.
Because you hate it when towns lose blacksmiths. You are very pro blacksmith.
Excuse me, this has Mickey Rooney and Dan Blocker, Hoss from Little House from Bonanza, in a Western comedy with Jim Backus and Jack Elam. Come on, I love Jack. Doesn't like Jack Elam.
What a lineup! And then on IMDb, only 16 people rated this a 6.1. Would you go higher or lower? Or is that right on the money?
Give it maybe a 6.0 for all the
you go low.
Good parts. Like, I thought it was very funny. I thought it was well acted. I thought it was well written. I thought the premise was actually really good. I just, you're sitting down.
It is 8 minutes of a 22-minute show
of just gowns by Louie.
I'm on board for. I mean, I might go 6.2 then, so we average out to 6.1. Because I mean, I was bated breath with waiting to see what that next look was going to be.
Oh man, if you wanted gowns, if you wanted to turn on your TV and watch some gowns,
you
got 8 minutes straight of gowns, no dialogue, nothing, no plot's going to be interrupting. No one's, running into the show and yelling, fire!
Stop!
Not French.
This man's a Russian.
It's straight, unedited
gowns. Yeah. Which, I mean, so like as a drag queen, I was really hoping to get a lot of inspiration, but there were only like maybe 3 gowns that I'm going to maybe try to find replicas of.
Have you considered getting an Afghan shawl?
Oh, God. I did not like that. It just looked like, Burr, it's cold. Like, it just didn't look like it went. It didn't look like it. I didn't know the story.
I grew up in a house that, from a very early age, had multiple Afghans.
Oh, yeah, we had all those.
So, and I believe my parents still have the Afghans. So I do associate them very highly with the 70s because, I was born in 1980. My parents had them from the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who had the must-see performance?
I'm gonna go with not Billy DeWolf. I know it's gonna be crazy. No. I think that Joseph Mall, who played Louis Salkowitz, really had a great performance because you sympathize with his approach that he didn't want to make a big deal out of the thing that he did as a hobby. he was proud of it, but he wasn't. There was no hubris.
Yeah,
It's something I like doing. I like
salt of the earth.
And the performance was good. A little self-deprecating here and there, which is kind of. I liked him,
especially because he had to be silent for maybe his biggest scene.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Werner Klemperer because I just straight up did not recognize him. Like, he truly disappeared into the role. I mean, maybe because he wasn't dressed like a Nazi. So if that's what I'm used to seeing.
he was great too. There's no fault, no flaws in his performance. He was a joy to watch.
And must other people see this episode?
That's one that I struggled with all day. Because I'm like, some people might be like, shit, what were people wearing in the 1970s? What was fashion back then? And you want to get like, it's like the Rosetta Stone.
Here you go.
It's of 16 fashions.
But it really does feel like we do not have the budget for this 23rd episode. We just gotta what's something easy we can do? Go buy 16 dresses and we'll just cycle through. So yeah, I don't think you don't need to see. There's other better episodes of the Doris Day Show. I think It's Christmas Time in the City, which I think is the season 4 Christmas episode, is very good. And the season 5 Christmas episode involves Charles Nelson Riley playing a kind of a really a criminal. He holds, I think, Doris hostage on Christmas. And there's like a flying UFO something. It looks like a toy.
Oh, okay.
It's weird.
I tell you that I think I saw a UFO. I saw a UFO. It's something I couldn't identify.
Well,
the other day.
A UAP.
I was looking out the window. It was definitely an UAP. I'm looking at the Hudson from my window because our big picture window looks out over the Hudson, and I see what looks like a silver sphere.
No, what?
Over the water. Now you see boats all the time on the river, and this was about the length of a boat, but it was moving much faster than any boat that I've ever seen go across the water, because we see a good amount.
But it wasn't in the water.
It wasn't in the water. There was no wake, especially the speed it was going. There was no wake, and at one point, it lifted. It moved up and it moved down. So it was like it was flying, because when a boat can't make those moves quickly, and it just moved really quick. It looked like it was flying over the water, about the size of a boat, small boat, moving much faster than any boat that I've ever seen. So I don't know. It was unidentified. It could have been. You
need to get on Nextdoor or something, see who else saw it, man. Oh my God.
I'm afraid of getting on Nextdoor.
Well, no, don't. Just for this one specific thing. Just for UFOs.
If anyone else sees a silver sphere about the size of a boat flying over the Hudson, I don't know. It was something that I had never seen before, and it was not a boat, and it was not a plane. In either case, it was not a boat and it was not a plane, and I don't know what it was.
Was it a drone?
It was fast for a drone, maybe like a military drone. I don't know.
Oh God. Oh yeah. Remember how the military was like, "Hey, UFOs are real," and then the world is so horrible that we're like, "Oh yeah, we don't have time for this right now. Sorry." You should have told us 20 years ago. We would have time to dedicate to this. Right now, the former president was just indicted. It is going to be.
And Disney outmaneuvered Ron DeSantis
on the same day. What?
Oh my God. It was,
yeah, we live in horrible times, wild times. But yeah, thank you so much for talking about the Doris Day Show. Where can people find you on the internet if they want to tell you about their UAP sites? Jesus.
You can always find me at Instagram at EthanK55. I picked 55 because 5 is my lucky number, and I figured someone else might already have 5, so I made it 55.
Word. And people can find me. People can find me on Instagram at Barb Hardly, also on YouTube, Barb Hardly, where I'm trying to do a lot more video stuff over there. And what you can also, follow another guy named Brett White on Twitter and Instagram at Brett White. Why not?
But him at his home email address, please.
Yes, please, Jesus. But do write and leave reviews on iTunes, or subscribe on YouTube, or comment on YouTube, or email musthavesceentv@gmail.com. Because if you do, we'll read it on the air, or we won't if you don't want us to.
And we are still waiting for someone to tell us the good episode of Family Affair that we can find.
Yeah, a good one. Doesn't even have to be funny at this point. Just tell us one that is enjoyable.
Is the good episode of Family Affair in the room with us now?
Oh,
it's fantastic. It's not okay. Never mind.
And I mean, that's about, I think, everything. Thanks everybody for hanging out and talking about fashion. Is fashion. Bye.